Hey everybody, happy Monday. Question this morning really on everyone's mind is, do we actually care about the trade deal with China? Is this a real development, or is this a more show than anything else? I tend to think that it's a mix of both. It's usually my kind of frustrating answer to these things. I think the most important things it really shows us is actually about the Trump administration itself, demonstrating some of the cleavages and factions within the administration. Are the tariffs there to really reshore American business and revitalize, the U.S. macroeconomy, or is this just a tool to kind of gain leverage or perceived leverage, make deals, get good press for the administration? Kind of this crisis, this Trump crisis cycle that I talked about earlier this weekend. Kind of manufacturing a crisis and then quote unquote solving that crisis to kind of move the ball forward and generate a lot of press. I think what we've seen here is that that's obviously how the administration, if that's a faction within the administration, I would say that's the faction that's currently won out or is winning. To that end, actually, having this impact America's industrial policy, its industrial makeup, its political economy more broadly. That's going to be a much longer term thing. We can see that with the TSMC plants in Arizona, for example. These are things that started during the first Trump administration, right? So these kinds of back and forth vagaries, month by month, quarter by quarter. You know, the investments here are going to take a lot longer time frame than that. So we really need to kind of take a breath here and see that. I think substantive changes like that are going to be much more long term. That said, what I've continued to pick out from Scott Bessent's comments and others is there's an interest here in having China kind of realign, not only just change the import of goods into the U.S., but also open China up more for U.S. products and goods and have them decouple their currency, stop their currency manipulation. Really, ironically, if they did that, that's actually what would. I mean, that's kind of impossible for the CCP to do that. Their political economy and the power of the party is tied so much to the way that their economy works. If they did sort of decouple their currency in that way, it would cause a lot of issues domestically for China. But that's also really the only way that the Chinese renminbi would become competitive with the dollar, or be able to be competitive with the dollar as a global reserve currency. So, kind of be careful what you wish for there. But anyway, would love your comments here. Do you think this is a big deal? Do you think it's more just another indicator of kind of the Trump crisis cycle that I've talked about before? How do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments. Thanks. Have a good Monday.